What's the story out there? Sorry for the delay there getting she. Just sorting out one or two things there in the background. Guys, how's everybody out there? I know I'm doing very good. It's been a good week. Had a lot of stuff going on. A lot of things to deal with, and I haven't been active at all here. Yeah, so with that in mind, guys, there's been some news recently that I wanted to bring up and talk about because one of my favourite judges out there, Judge Sean O'Donovan, he's in action again. Yeah, this guy gave me a year off the road for having less than €5 worth of cannabis in my car. Less than €5 worth of cannabis. Like, I appealed the case from the district court, and it went up to the circuit court, and yeah, I basically told him I was in college, have two kids, I'm the main provider in the house, I do all the driving and everything like that. And the guy gave me a year off the road for only having cannabis in my car. Only having it in the car, not DUI. I was not driving under the influence. I was not swerving all over the road in the danger to myself and others. Like, I had cannabis in my possession, and the man gave me a year off the road. Like, in fairness, like, what a langer. But up recently before him was George Sheehan from Mallow. He's a DJ apparently for Mallow. And he was caught with what they say is €35,000 worth of cannabis. Oh my god, he got caught with so much cannabis. €35,000. Sounds like a lot, doesn't it? But when you break it down, like they value that at €20 a gram. So when you do the maths, like that works out at 1.75 kilograms of cannabis. 1.75, right? It's two big bags of sugar. That's it, like it's actually less than two big bags of sugar. Two big bags of sugar could be 2 kilos, like. Like seriously, like a tiny bit of cannabis, like a bit of cannabis, like the bloody price of it is that high because of the prohibition that this judge is enforcing. If the judge just got out of the way, if the politicians put proper policies in place, we wouldn't have cannabis that's worth so bloody much. We wouldn't have criminals in control of it and selling it, like. This poor man now, like, yeah, fair enough, he probably was making money and selling cannabis, like, yeah, fair enough, like, but at least he's not raping kids, like. Seriously, like. Fucking oh man! So he gets 4 years for having €35,000 worth of cannabis, and get this, okay? While he was waiting for that charge to come up, he got caught with another bit of cannabis. He got caught with €1,400 worth of cannabis. Okay, it sounds like a lot of money, doesn't it? Like, but when you break it down in cannabis, the way they value it, it's 70 grams of cannabis. 70 grams. It's very bloody small, like. And he gave him another 2 years for that. And the cherry on top then, what is it? Yeah, consecutive sentence. So basically, like, he has to finish one to do the next one. But yeah, we fellas out there getting all these sentences, like, actually have victims to their crimes, and they're getting to run them concurrently. So if a fella breaks into 5 houses in a row and he gets a year for each house, but the judge will give them to him concurrently, which means he'll do 1 year in prison. Even though he got a year for each of the houses, he'll do 1 bloody year. Like, those people in those houses, like, they're victims of his crime. Where are the victims to this? Like, cannabis, like, the people come to this guy, Jared, to buy the cannabis off him. He's out there forcing cannabis on nobody, like. Nobody. Who wants to be raped? Like, nobody wants to be raped. Nobody wants to be molested as a kid, like. Nobody asks for these things. People ask for cannabis, but yet you're giving this man here, like, 6 years now. 6 years he got for cannabis. Okay, whoop-de-doo, he suspended 1 year of it. Like, but this man, 5 years. Do you know how much it is each year in Ireland for prisoners? It's over 100,000 bloody euro. Like, over 100,000 euro per prisoner per year. That's madness. Like, I don't even get that. And do you know? Fucking how many of you out there get 100,000 euro a year? Like, do you know? The boys there recently, they got Netflix up into the prison because of the whole coronavirus, like. For real, like. Seriously. Sausages. Sorry for freaking out now, like, but this stuff annoys me because, look, this is what I'm going to tell you about here. Look, so Garda Sean O'Donovan, Judge Sean O'Donovan, some of the comments here from him during the court case, okay? So when Sheehan was being sentenced for €35,000 worth of cannabis, he claimed he was only supplying 4 or 5 adult friends that he did not drink alcohol, but when he returned from a night's working as a DJ, he would smoke cannabis at home. He had been smoking so long that he was both damaged by drugs and unable to go about rehabilitation. Now, I tell you, that very last sentence was not at all from that man. That was from his solicitor. I can guarantee you his solicitor told him to admit that he's damaged by drugs. He made him to say it untruths in court in order to try to get him a lighter sentence, because they do that. I've been there. They make you do this stuff. Like, they make you speak untruths. They try to build you up as this big, amazing guy to get you off with things, like, and you'll go about like saying yes or no, sir, I'll never do it again, sir. But God, like, every time I went into court, like, the only thing I wanted after I left there was a bloody joint, because the stress they cause you, like, in there dealing with sausages like Judge Sean O'Donovan. Like, here we go now, here's what Judge Sean O'Donovan had to say, okay? Judge Sean O'Donovan said during the sentencing hearing in February, "This is somewhat of a sad case. A man at this hour of his life who is so committed to drugs, he really does not know right from wrong. So addicted, he cannot even offer himself treatment. He is an almost total addict." Like, if you were in front of that judge and he said that to you, like, how would that make you feel? Would that not make you feel like shit? Like, seriously, like the man was working, he was helping some friends out, getting cannabis for him, like, he was going home enjoying himself, he didn't drink, like, who's this, like, this judge to judge him, like, you know what I mean? This is bullshit, like, this man hurt nobody, like, this government has overstepped their boundaries, like, we've mandatory masks coming in there now very soon. Like, this is more example of them overstepping their boundaries. I understand they say it's for the betterment of health, but they say the same thing about prohibition, and that's a bloody lie. It's not about health. It's not about health at all. Because if it was about health, then they would actually be doing something about it. They'd be drug testing at festivals and stuff in order to help people who buy drugs on the from the underground, in order to help them, like, to save lives. They would allow them to test their drugs. But they don't do that, like. Because why? It's not about health. It's about control, power, manipulation, like. That's where it always has been. These bloody drug laws have been rooted in racism and control and power from the get-go. You know, when cannabis prohibition, I've done it in the last video there, like, it's all rooted in racism. That's why we have the word marijuana. Do you know, as I said, check out my last episode if you haven't seen it. Like, it's all rooted in racism. It's evil, like. Pisses me off, it really does, like, that like, this judge gets to say this kind of stuff to this man, like, you know, when he's hurt nobody. He really is hurt nobody. So, and let's go on, let's see some of the work that Judge Sean O'Donovan does out there, okay? Because I was touching off it there kind of earlier, like, and it's in the title of the video there. But there was a pedo pensioner, okay? A pensioner. What age did I say he was? 67, I think he was. Yeah, the 67-year-old man, yeah. So he was probably, yeah. So at the pensioner, he was out with his granddaughter, an 11-year-old granddaughter, and he fiddled with her, stuck his hand down her pants, touched her private parts. Do you know? Done that for every week for 2 years. From the age of 11 to 13, he done this. And this man was up in front of Judge Sean O'Donovan, okay? And guess what he gave him? 3 years. 3 years for fiddling with his bloody granddaughter. That's sick. That is sickening. He's given this man here who is cannabis, who people come to him to buy cannabis, as I say. Like, I want cannabis. Like, I will go and I'll buy cannabis from a person, like, and I would hate to see that person punished for that. But God forgive me, if someone was to ever, like, rape me, I would want them punished. Like, I would not be able to forgive that person. Nobody wants to be raped. Nobody wants to be fiddled with. And he gives him 3 years. 3 years. And to make it worse then as well, the woman wanted to have the man identified. And then the judge imposed himself and wouldn't identify the man because he said he made the excuse that there was some other grandchildren there that might be identified as potential victims if the man was to be identified. But that's bullshit, like. Who's he to make that call? Surely, like, maybe bring in those other grandchildren, and maybe ask the parents of those other grandchildren, ask them, like. But Jesus, like, that's ridiculous that he would do that. Like, he wouldn't identify the man. The man fiddled with his granddaughter for 2 years. Once a week for 2 years. Well, at least that's kind of what it said here. Like, every week for 2 years, the man fiddled with his granddaughter. 3 fucking years, like. And this guy here with a bit of cannabis gets 6. Ah, seriously, like. And here's another one. Judge Sean O'Donovan again. And this guy, okay, this is even sicker. This guy is a TUSLA worker. He works with TUSLA, the child family agency. Like, you know, the people who are supposed to be protecting kids, yeah, TUSLA. This guy gets caught with 2,000 photos and 14 videos of child abuse. And he got caught with them, okay? And what they said about him, they're rated in the worst category. Like, that the stuff within the imagery in the videos was so, like, serious, like, that it's the worst that they could be, like, you know, whatever way they rate it. Like, it was the worst of them. He gave him 3 years. He gave him 3 years with 2 suspended, actually. 2 suspended. Now, I know myself, there's comments in the past from Judge Sean O'Donovan to people who buy drugs, that by them buying drugs, that they're facilitating the bigger, wider criminal market to go on, like, and all of the ill effects of that, like all of the people who get hurt by that. He didn't have these comments here. 2,000 photographs, 14 videos. That's probably countless kids, like, that's countless lives affected by this man's desire to possess those images. And he gave him 3 years with 2 suspended, so this man's going to spend a year in jail, and he probably got out earlier, like, he's probably out in 6 months. Sickening, like. Real victims, like, to his crime, yeah, fair enough, he mightn't have directly affected him, like, by him possessing that imagery, like, and he probably bought it from somebody who supplied it to him, like. That's ridiculous. There's victims there, like, and this man is getting a year, 2 or 3 years, 2 suspended, so he'll spend a year in prison. Possibly he'll be out in 6 months, maybe, with a bit of good behaviour. Horrible, like, and the man worked for TUSLA then as well, like. He should have threw the book at him, like. Threw a couple of books at him. Jesus, like, there's kids, like. That's sickening, like, when you go buy cannabis off of somebody, like, you hurt nobody. These guys who keep prohibition in place, they're hurting far more people. All the victims of trafficking that go on, the Vietnamese people who were brought into this country and into the UK to grow the cannabis, they're forced to stay in houses, have their passports taken off them and everything. That's what prohibition is, you know. There's another story here, look, and it's kind of following on to what I was saying there. Like, about prohibition, a bread delivery man, he had a bit of a cocaine habit. He racked up a debt. His dad had died, and the man had got into a bit of trouble, you know. He just got deeper into his drug habit, and he ran up a debt, and because of that debt, then he was made become a courier for him to chip away at his debt. He wasn't really getting paid for it as such, like, he was just working away off his debt, like, and he got caught with it, with the package or whatever it was, you know. And this is what goes on in prohibition. We have evil criminals who will sell drugs to people, and they don't care about the person, like. Like, as I said, this man's dad died, like, and what was their way of thanking him? Oh, they gave him more cocaine, allowed him to rack up a debt of €10,000. Sound, aren't they? €10,000 they allowed him to rack up a debt of, and they didn't care for him, like, and then they victimise him afterwards and make him do their dirty work, move their drugs for him, and he gets caught then with it, and they don't, and he can't rat in them, like, you can't rat, you're dead. They'll find out you're dead if you rat. And that's what it is. Like, this is what our Gardaí are up against. Like, this man is not going to snitch on the people who he was doing the thing for, because they know where he lives, they know where his family are. Why are you going to put yourself at that risk? No, it's the likes of Judge Sean O'Donovan who should be stepping up and speaking up about this, saying the prohibition is a joke, that his young fellas in front of him every bloody day, every bloody week for simple bloody drug possession that don't need to be there. If they have the drug problem, then they have a health issue. They need to be seeing a health professional, not a bloody judge. I'm sick of it. Like, why am I the one here saying this stuff? Like, really, like, like, everybody's going on now at the moment about masks. Oh, it'll save lives. It's about protecting one another. Where was this camaraderie there? Like, a couple of months ago, a couple of years ago, when I was saying, like, that there's students dying, taking unknown substances. I done a survey in CIT where I asked students if they got an unknown substance, a white powder, if they found it on the floor of a festival, would they take it? 80% of them said yes. 80% of them said yes. 80% of the students who took that survey, like, and who used drugs, 80% of the students who used drugs from that survey had 832 participants. There was 76% of our participants used drugs in CIT. 80% of that 76 said that they would take an unknown substance. It was a mystery white powder that they found on the floor of a festival. And what we've been saying is we need drug testing services in place so people can bring their drugs forward and have them tested, because our government are too childish to actually have models in place for safe, regulated supply and access to them. So that the community now needs to step up, and we need to protect one another, give each other the right information. Test your drugs before you take your drugs if you're not sure of them, especially when it comes to things like MDMA and cocaine, because you do not know what it's been cut with. I talked about Jerry Ryan there last week. Like, his cocaine was cut with bloody, what was it again? Anti-worming stuff, like it was a drug for killing parasites in sheep and cattle. That was cut with his cocaine. This is what I'm saying, guys. Like wake up, smell the coffee. Like, the government are saying that you have to wear masks because of health measures and stuff, like. But I've been trying to engage the government to regulate cannabis for health measures. They won't do it. They won't do it for medical cannabis. We had a woman who had to walk from Cork to Dublin to get the attention of a health minister, and we still don't have effective access to medical cannabis in this country. They put a medical cannabis access program in place there over a year ago, and nobody has gotten access to it. You go to your GP in the morning and he'll tell you he can't apply for it, and they're all just misinformed. Do you know? But they don't care about your health, but they tell you they do. They'll tell you wear a mask as they care about your health. But they won't allow you proper, safe, effective access, say, to medical cannabis. Or if you want to go take some MDMA at the weekend with your friends, that you can't go down to the pharmacy and buy proper, quality assured MDMA, where the production of it's not associated with all of the evilness that's there within the black market. You know, the same with the cocaine. If a person wants to do a few lines at the weekend, like I'm not against the person wanting to do a few lines at the weekend. I'm not going to judge them. But look, if it's destructive upon their lives, then maybe we should step in, like, and then it's a health issue, isn't it? But when we make it a criminal issue, when we have prohibition in place, like, it begins with the farmers. The farmers of the coca leaves, they're victims. They have to put up with the criminals over there who force them to grow the leaves, and then they give them a shitty price probably for it. They probably just kill them afterwards and get in new farmers next year. Do you know? Life is cheap to these criminals, like, don't forget that, like. And then you have the people who have to transport the cocaine, and then when it gets into the country, you have the people who have to sell it and move it. As I said, this poor bread truck driver, the bread delivery man, he got into a bit of a habit of using cocaine, racked up with debt, and look at him, he's a victim now. He was up before the courts. This all needs to end, like, seriously, it really does. Like, I'll be wearing my mask for Monday, but I'll be still campaigning for better and safer bloody access to cannabis and medical cannabis in this country, and for the decriminalisation of the drug user. So if our government ministers are out there, or anybody out there is listening, like, if you're going to all be wearing your masks on Monday and everything for health measures, well then, God, I better hear you out there arguing for better and safer services for drug users, for the regulation of cannabis, because these things will save lives too, seriously. Man, really annoys me, like, Alright, I'm going to try to calm down a little bit there, because I definitely got worked up a bit there, like, because that stuff with the kids, like, it's definitely something that's sensitive to me, like, fucking hell, like, and then they're only getting 3 years for it, like, it's fucking horrible, like. Just Sean, this one's for you, boy. I hope you get my court case in September, boy. I'd love to meet you again, really would. I see a few comments out there, guys. If you're watching and you want to ask any questions, or if you want to interact a little bit, now's your chance. I'll look through these comments there now. I've one in here from Fudge, and yeah, it's a joke. Told you about my situation. Joke. Yeah, you did, and it is a complete joke, man. So thanks there for interacting today, Stefan. That's story, man. Hi, and Lane. Thanks, Lane, for the support and everything. Um, guys, if anybody has any questions or anything like that, related to cannabis or anything like that, or if you wanna just share your story with me, I've shared my story here and my experiences with people. I suppose I definitely have more of a story to tell there. I haven't gone deep into some of the things of the past and some of the interactions I've had with the Gardaí. I'm while in court and stuff because I've been into court like 13 times or 12 times I think it was for cannabis, and I represented myself. I think it was 9 of those times I represented myself. 3 of the times I had a solicitor. Actually, 10 of the times I represented myself because 3 of the times I had a solicitor, and one of those times I actually had to tell him to go away because like your man a while ago, like he wanted me to say that I have an addiction problem and that I will seek rehabilitation. I didn't have an addiction problem at all. Like I could have gave up cannabis if I wanted to, but I wasn't going to have some bully force me into giving it up when I didn't want to, because that's all it was, is bullying. Like that's what they are. Like, story, Chris. Nice one. Yeah, definitely needs to be legalized. 100% agree with you there. Like the sooner the better, really. Like, as you just seen there, like I'm behaving as if it is legal anyway. Like I'm just going to take the fight to him. We need to step up and not be afraid to put ourselves out there, like, because this is an injustice. Like, it really is. Like, these laws should not be in place. Like, don't know if you seen a video I put up there earlier as well around, like, say, magic mushrooms and psilocybin. The psilocybin that's in the magic mushrooms. Um, these things are all taken away from us, like, and they've been shown now to be very, very beneficial, and we don't have access to them, you know. But you have to wear a face mask Monday, guys. Make sure you wear a face mask Monday. It's very important. It's for the health of others. But let's keep prohibition in place, should we? Seriously, like, ah, John. Actually, I got my mask. I should have it here with me, but I left it out in the car. I'd love to advertise it. A fair play, a legend of a Cork woman made it. Alicia Maher, who I interviewed last week on the Support Unpunished special. Her mother actually started making the face masks that have the cannabis leaf spread across the face of it. Like, so it's good. For me anyway. Like, otherwise I wouldn't be wearing one if I didn't have the option to get that one. So yeah, a little plug there for that. And guys, I think that's it for myself for this evening, unless I don't see anybody else thrown up there. Actually, one there no more from Steve On, and he says, we are years away in my opinion though. You're doing an amazing job. Nice one, Steve On. I definitely agree with you. Look, we are years away in the current climate. But if we band together, I can guarantee you we could have cannabis legal before the end of the year. If we got together, like, as a powerful community, because we can be a very powerful community. Like, people power could get this done. It took them a year to get the summons out to me for my joint that I'm going to Cork for in September. A year. Imagine if we just started blocking up the system by just going there. Like, just like we were out together last week at the smoke up in Dublin and in Cork, where we all openly consumed cannabis, and the Gardaí didn't come near us. They did not come near us. You know why they didn't come near us? There was 650 of us at one point up in Dublin, and there was over 100 of us down in Cork. It's power in numbers. People have the power. This is a democracy. This country is a democracy, and the people have the power. Do not forget that. Do not lie. The government are overstepping their boundaries. They've overstepped them for a long time. These guys in government are not infallible. They are not perfect, like, by any means, like. Not so ever. Like, as I said, these drug laws are in place since the 60s, and also in place at that time where laws were being gay was illegal. Having condoms were illegal. They had some silly laws back then too. We've gotten it wrong. But I think the changing of the guard is certainly coming in a couple of years. But as I say, like, we could definitely speed this up if the people get up off their arses, get out there and fight for it, in a peaceful way, Civil disobedient. Go out and smoke a joint. Go out and just take the smallest piece of cannabis you can and just ask a guard to prosecute you for it. Even if you don't want to do that, go into the health food store, buy some hemp seeds, go outside, pick up some dirt, put it into whatever you want, put it into a potato bag. It doesn't have to cost you bloody money. Put the dirt in there, go to a card station, show them putting the seed into the bag and ask them to do you for cultivation. That's cultivation of cannabis. I think I'm going to start that one actually very soon myself, actually, because I've been talking about this for a while, so I will be starting that. So Steve, maybe if you want to help speed things up, maybe you'll join in that too. Look, and we can get a big community effort behind that. Like, I love everybody's reaction to the Kyo's crisps there last week. Like, fair play. Like, there's power in numbers, lads. We have a very strong community out there. I loved all those photos of Kyo's gone up there. Like, there was loads of them. Like, I'm sure Kyo's definitely had a shortage. Like, I'd love to hear some comments on them as to how their sales were over the last week, but maybe they'll keep that secret. They won't want Mr. Tato getting in on the action. And Ferg, man, nice one again for the support. And Shri, nice one, man. We'll fight for justice, but what a fight you're doing for your community and for your people and for yourself. Hats off to you, bud. Nice one for that comment, Shri, bud. It's all the support is it really helps, bud. Thanks very much, bud. And Lane, yeah, next one. Yeah, we'll see you there 3 weeks time anyway. We're talking about I'll just get up my calendar there now quickly. We're talking about the 8th of August in Cork for the next one. It's not in stone yet, but the 8th of August, it's out there. It's a date we're working on. So the 8th of August, guys, you heard it here first this evening. There'll be another public civil disobedience, another day of open cannabis consumption in Cork City, where we're going to have the cannabis community coming out and standing up for what is right. So guys, I think that's a good note to leave the show on. And thanks everybody for tuning in this evening, listening, and for all your support, guys. It's much appreciated, really do appreciate it. And guys, I look forward to meeting you all out at the next one in 3 weeks. Catch you all soon, guys. Have a nice evening and enjoy your weekend.